The information discussed on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell is believed to be from reliable sources. However, no responsibility is assumed for inaccuracies. No statement made on this broadcast should be construed as a specific recommendation of a particular investment product. Views expressed are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent those of CBS Radio. Use only as directed.
Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin' money. Talkin' money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
Yeah, right. How you doing?
Good morning.
How you doing?
Doing good. What's happening?
Memorial Day weekend. We're alive. Barely. Looking out here, just a beautiful day. It's going to be warm again this weekend, so I'm glad you're tuning in for a little bit. We'll be quick today. We've only got about a 45-minute show. A little baseball coming on. I'm being told. Is that we got to talk a little faster than normal, John?
That's right. We got an A's game coming up.
Got the dealio. I need to go down and see a game. I guess I could just go to Rayleigh Field and see a game if I wanted to do that too. So a lot of things going on. A lot of interesting stuff. I don't know if we'll get it all in today or not, but we'll certainly give it a shot. Our phone number here in the studio, if you want to call us today, 339-1140 and 1-800-920-1140. I'm not sure. Is our text machine working, or what's the deal with the text machine?
It is down.
I think it has been permanently removed.
Down and out.
Down and out. We're going to have to go back to the smoke signals or snail mail if you want to get us a message. If you don't want to call, you're welcome to call. Nobody uses a phone anymore. That's the thing.
That's right.
You got to text us, or you got to Facebook us, or you got to just give us the finger. One of the two. We'll get them to you. What's on the mind of the big boy there, Mr. Soccer today? What's going on in your world, Chris?
Well, a lot. I didn't want to. I'm like, geez, I've been talking soccer like nonstop.
Your whole life.
Yeah. So, but like huge game Tuesday, not who they're playing, but who it is. It's the U.S. versus Azerbaijan at Candlestick Park. And there are tickets still available. So I would say, you know what, call in sick to work. Do something, whatever you can do to get out there, because this is going to be the team that's going to Brazil for the World Cup, and I'm excited. I got my tickets. I'm going to be there 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Hopefully I make it to the game, so that's going to be a lot of fun.
And I see they didn't burn any buildings down because they Landon Donovan didn't make it, so there's not been a big riot, so I guess that was okay, huh?
It's one of those hard things. It's like, oh, he should be there, and then as you start to you have to talk yourself out. It's like, oh, he hasn't scored in a while. He is getting older. Okay, I'm all right with it, but I would have loved to have seen him coming off the bench.
Yeah,
and we'll see what
Chris,
happens with injuries and everything else. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll stick him in there. Hey, I got I don't even know where to begin. I guess we should start by saying congratulations to those of you who were behind the new arena. It looks like that's going to move forward, assuming it doesn't get sued by it will get sued by somebody else, but I don't know what the merits will be there. It's always funny watching that process go through, and I guess maybe we should all be grateful that there's not everybody's entirely in favor of every project, because maybe that keeps the process honest. I don't know. I do want to see a new arena go in downtown. I think it will be a huge boost for that area, and I think many people believe that, beyond just basketball. Speaking of just absolute enormous projects, I don't know if anybody saw this, but up in Seattle, they're trying to drill. God, how long are they going to go? It's 90. Well, they're aiming for 9,200 feet. So you figure out a mile is 5,240. So it's just under 2 miles. They're basically, if you've ever been in Seattle, Seattle is basically the side of a hill that slides into the ocean. And there's a couple roads that go along the side of the hill. There really isn't anywhere to go. Kind of like,
That's quite the definition there, Jeff.
I mean, there's like one freeway that goes through there. The traffic is a mess up there. I mean, they've done a good job where, in the morning you're going into town, they open up most of the lanes, and they kind of bi-directional the lanes so you can use both sides of the road a little bit. But they really need to get some more roads in there. So they decided they would use this tunnel boring machine called Bertha. I don't know. Did you see the picture of this thing, John?
I did not.
The thing literally looks the size, I mean, it's bigger than the space shuttle. I mean, it's a ginormous boring machine. and it got stuck.
It got stuck.
It got stuck. It's only got about 1,000 feet into its process so far, and it got stuck.
Uh-oh.
What happened is they hit some metal, some casings, I guess maybe some old wells and some things that went down, and so they thought it would be all dirt, and they ran into a problem, and now it sits there. And this is, by the way, if you're talking about dollars, this is a $3 billion project they're trying to get done in Seattle, and this thing is this enormous drill bit is now stuck 1,000 feet into the hole, and they don't know what to do to get it forward or backwards. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens up there. For some reason, there seems to be a theme going on here that when you get into billion-dollar projects, a la the Bay Bridge, things seem to go sideways quickly on those projects. I don't know. I mean, they're difficult at best. There's no question about it. But this is a $3 billion project that may be a $6 billion project by the time they get Bertha unstuck. And I won't even get into the Bay Area project right now because already less than a year in, they're worried that some of the cables aren't going to hold that bridge, or they're moving and they're shaking, and I don't know. It's I hope we do a better job building the little square building downtown than we're doing on some of the other projects, but we'll get back to that as it becomes more of an issue.
Yeah, did you see that we were talking last year about the high school football stadiums that are coming up in Texas? And in Allen High School's Eagles Stadium, $60 million football stadium that opened in 2012, it will be closed this season because of significant structural problems.
Ooh.
Just opened in 12, $60 million bucks.
Yeah, that was a pretty cool looking. I mean, for $60 million, that's a pretty cool looking facility. They got to close it already. I mean, if your high school is spending $60 million on football, your high school,
right?
You're getting a lot of attendees, I think, for the game. That's not gonna go well over there. I did see something that is not closed, and this baffles me. This goes back to in real life. I say this all the time. When it comes to how you say this politically correct, but whenever you are trying to appease a customer, the more you bend over and try to help them and be accommodating, it seems like the less thankful they are. And sometimes I almost think, I think that the general client just wants to be screwed. I mean, just treat them like hell, tell them you're treating them like hell, overcharge them, and they'll just be thrilled. I wonder that sometimes, and I think that Disneyland is trying to prove me right. So for those of you who are going to Disneyland this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, or any time this summer, they have a problem at Disneyland. They have a very unique problem. They have too many people coming to Disneyland. So what are they going to do? They just keep raising the prices. I mean, their service isn't getting any better. You still have to wait 6 million years to get into the any of the rides, and you got to pay through the nose for everything. They raise their prices at Disneyland, and they raise them on purpose, hoping. Think about this, John. Your goal is to reduce your customer base.
What a problem.
That is the stated purpose of the price raises, not to we're not making enough money, things are getting tighter, we're going to pay our employees more. No, we're trying to cut back on the number of people that are coming here. And guess what? It didn't work. People don't give a damn. I mean, if they're going to Disneyland, whether they pay $79 or $96, they're going to pay. Right. So it is amazing. A couple things that you think about. I think one of the things that has hurt them, which I'm sure initially they thought it would help them, is the season pass. And you have this SoCal Locals season pass where you can get into Disneyland anytime throughout the season passes, like any snow ski place does them. And I think what they're going to have to do is go back and relook at the season pass concept and either limit it to the number of days. I mean, think about the season passes that you can buy up here, John, for skiing. I mean, there's no holidays. There's certain different things you can use them during the week. There's not on the busy days. I mean, there's all kinds of restrictions you can put on them. I think they're going to have to do either eliminate the season pass concept altogether, or dramatically reduce the usage on it. I think that's what's killing them. And then people will rent out their season passes, right? So you'll see them down there on Craigslist and other things too, where you can rent the family seasons pass. So that may backfire on them a little bit. What I didn't know, I don't know if you caught this, is they have I don't know if it's to the north or the south of the park now, but they have a phase 3 planned. They have Disneyland, they have California Adventureland, and they have another whole section set aside that they can actually do another park, and they put it on hold because everything just kind of went in the crapper a while back. But now they're resurrecting that plan and saying maybe we have to do, phase 3 of Disneyland, which would be kind of interesting. So we'll see what shakes out there. But clearly, It's a good problem to have, I guess. You got too many customers, and you can't. And, I mean, nobody leaves with any money in their pocket when they go and they leave,
Yeah,
right?
no doubt.
So I always just like to just go right to the gate, dump all my wallet out, and throw my credit cards on the ground and leave, and just get the pain over with a little quicker. But Disneyland is going to probably keep raising prices as long as they can get away with it. So we'll see how that goes. Other news this week, a couple of goods. I mean, if you're following interest rates in the mortgage business and you're following stock markets, seems to be okay. Mortgage rates just trickling down. And I'll be honest, and if you follow this show or listen here, I would have bet you a small fortune, like $5 or $6 earlier this year that rates would be 6% by summer, and darn if they aren't going to be 4 and under, by next week. So it just seems like they are the benefactor of what I'm not sure, other than I think that people are looking around saying, yeah, maybe the economy is just not going to light fire like we thought it would.
Right, and maybe we really do need the housing market to be that much stronger.
Yeah, there's no question that that's having a lag on it. I think that some of the Fed talk, the Fed is watching housing pretty closely, and they are expressing, at least through their notes, some concern that they better not maybe jump on a rate increase too soon, because the housing recovery, although April was up a little bit. April was up existing homes were up about 1.3% in April, so that's a better sign compared to the last few months before. But overall, they're not getting a lot of first-time home buyers back in the market yet for various reasons. I don't know if you saw this chart, but this was pretty fascinating. You go back to 2009 and 2010. If you remember back during those 2 years, we did something unusual for first-time home buyers. Remember that tax credit? You could actually get the down payment, the down payment assistance money through a tax rebate. In fact, some places were advancing you the money. There was a lot of fraud on that because people were getting tax rebates for homes they didn't buy. Home ownership for first-time home buyers was over 50% in late 2009. It means of all homes being sold, existing homes, half of them were first-time buyers during the tax credit period. That number is now down to under 29%. So we are not getting the pickup we need from first-time home buyers, and there's a lot of reason for it. One is that their income, the income of those people that are 25 to 35, somewhere in there, is down. I mean, they have the biggest decline in income as a group of about 9%. You get a lot of rebound buyers coming back, people that had foreclosures and short sales before, and you got a lot of investors out there competing for those low-end house prices as well. So you generally have a weaker offer, quote unquote, from a first-time buyer. Their credit scores are usually a little lower. They're using lesser down payment, if any, and they can't afford to up their offer very much. And so there's a lot of pressure on them to get beat out, and that's what's happening. So we'll see if that continues. But right now, first-time home buyers down at the lowest point in the last 5 or 6 years, just under 29% of all offers. And it's not like they're not out there. I mean, they're looking. I've got a bunch of them all approved in my office looking for houses, and they just can't get up into that price range that they need to get up into to compete with the other people. So interesting week. I'll get in a little bit some of the maybe we'll do the VA. The whole thing with the VA hospitals is just a sad, and the Memorial weekend, and then our veterans are not getting the level of service that they deserve, and that's been a growing story. They were looking at that, maybe putting them into Obamacare. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on in that world. We'll talk about that a little more next week because we have some time. And we're going to take an early first break today because we only have a couple normal segments today. We're going to have to cut out a little early for the Oakland A's game, so we'll get into some quiz questions early this morning. John, what do you got on your plate down there for we can do some Rivercats baseball tickets if you're interested in going to a Rivercats game. We can do that. Certainly we have some Round Table Pizza, some of the artisan flatbread pizzas if you're not a baseball goer and seer. So your choice. Chris will take your phone calls at 339-1140 and 1-800-920-1140 because we don't have a text machine. So make sure you give Chris your name and address and let him know whether you want baseball or some pizza. And John's got something on his plate, and I don't know what.
Yes. So quiz question number 1 of the day is Nick Woodman filed to turn his company public this week. What is the company? So Nick Woodman filed to turn his public company this week. What is the company he owns 49% of? Nick Woodman.
Now that's quite honestly,
it's a cool product.
Because I know the answer. But if you just ask me who Nick Woodman is, it's just not a name that sticks out like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and and all the other names. Isn't it kind of amazing how kind of under the radar this guy's run?
Definitely.
I mean, I'll give you some background numbers. His company did $1 billion in revenue last year, and made $60 million in profit, which to me doesn't that sound low to you?
It does.
1 billion. So 10% of $1 billion would be $100 million. So he's making about a 6% return, which maybe in that industry that's right. That just seems low to me. But anyway,
maybe their marketing advertising is quite
could
steep.
be. Yeah, it could be. Nick Woodman owns 49%. I'll tell you, Foxconn Technology, the Chinese electronics manufacturer, they own 10% of his company. And there was about 8.5 million units of his product sold since 2009. So Mr. Woodman has done a very good job of building a business, and he wants to turn it public now. What does Nick Woodman own 49% of? If you know the answer to that, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. John's in the studio in Sacramento. I am working remotely today as I'm trying to get things caught up. This is our last week before school's out. We got a graduate coming up. This is going to be one busy week for sure for many of us. We're going to take a quick break and come back, get your answers to our quiz questions, and get on with some more fun stuff too. This is Talkin' Money. My name is Jeff Tarbell.
This is John Foderero.
And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right
back, Jack.
Talkin' money.
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How you doing?
What's going on?
Did we get a winner there too?
We did.
Mr. Woodman?
We did.
We could take a couple winners too if you had a few there. That's
we got a couple.
You got a couple. I'm not sure if that's is that an easy one or not. I mean, I just don't. The guy's name just doesn't ring. Doesn't. You don't link Nick Woodman and GoPro together. I don't.
Right.
I mean, I just don't know why it hasn't stuck with me, but I guess.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is I think in 2001 he had this product called Funbug, which went bust. So after a couple years of doing that, he decided that that wasn't going to make it. So he decided to take a 5-month surf trip.
Yeah. And
kind of work on the GoPro a little bit more. So I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it is and so yeah. So I ask myself, are we seeing a guy turn it public now because he thinks he's done all he can do? It's reached market saturation, or it needs to go to the next level, kind of like the I mean they're kind of up there with Red Bull when it comes to just getting out with all of the the cool sports and the those kind of things. You just kind of see them everywhere now too, and I'm wondering just what the what the logic is. I guess you can if he's only, and I say only, making $60 million a year in profit, and he's getting basically 49% of that, so he's getting about $30 million a year. If the company's worth a couple $1 billion and he owns half of it, then that's far in excess of what he'll ever make on an annual basis. So I just wonder, they sold 8.5 million HD cameras since 2009, which is there's 300 something million Americans, so there's certainly a lot more potential customers to go. The question is, how many more people want the GoPro camera? I just got my first one the other day, and I we'll see how it works out. They are certainly they got all kinds of fun ways to use them. That is for darn sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see how that goes. Interesting that Foxconn, which is the group I think that also puts together the Apple iPhone for Apple in China, owns 10% of them. So it's interesting deal. So keep your eye out and see if GoPro goes IPO, and if it does, would you buy some GoPro, knowing they only make about 6% on their investment there? I don't know. We'll see. I was talking a little bit about some of the housing numbers and some things that are going on in the housing market. A lot of articles coming up here now. This is what I've been talking about in the past, but I didn't have a good number to put to it, and now I do. And if you look at our area, for example, Invitation Homes, which is actually the marketing name for Blackstone Group, owns a tremendous number of rental properties in our area, and you could say in part they helped stabilize the market a little bit when at a time when prices seemed to be plummeting. Things were not looking so good. They came in locally and bought, I want to say, a couple thousand homes locally. So at the time, nobody complained about it. But right now, I'd sure like to have those houses coming back on the market for real home buyers. I don't know about you, John, but we could certainly use a couple thousand more entry-level priced houses.
That'd
on
be
the market.
great.
Yeah, and they're one of the bigger ones. American Homes for Rent owns quite a few homes. Silver Bay Realty Trust, American Residential, Starwood, Colony American. These are all what they would call big investors in single-family homes. And the Wall Street Journal did an interesting article on, the number of single-family homes owned by big investors. Total, just about 137,000 homes across the country are owned as investment properties by big investment groups. And that doesn't sound like a lot on a nationwide basis, but you break it down, obviously there's probably 40 states that don't have any owners, so they're probably in all of the states where there's population of people looking to buy homes. But I would say that if there was 137,000 more homes that are in those price ranges coming on the market in a reasonable period of time, that would be beneficial to a lot of communities. It is what's hurting a little bit. You take their 137,000 and then you go out and take every single other investor who is out paying cash for properties on the courthouse steps or paying cash in escrow for places for investment properties. The number probably is 3 to 4 times that, if not more. And there comes the crux of the issue with our first-time buyers and some repeat buyers, people trying to get back in the market who, lost a home or for whatever purpose have been out for a while. And that is one of the challenges. And there's not a good answer. You can't tell an investment group you can't buy single-family homes. But at some point in time, are we creating a worse economy because of it? I did note that another change in the buying habits of home buyers is starting to make a real turn again. And if you remember back in, really started late 08, early 09, kind of right in midway through the recession, there was really a trend of people moving back into the urban core, back into the cities. And in fact, it was the biggest swell back into the main part of town and the main cities in many years. And that right during the recession period of time. There's a lot of reasons for it. I think one of them being that it's cheap. In some aspects you can maybe find a little cheaper property maybe in the city, although some cities would defy that. But maybe because you can get a little smaller unit or a condo, or you can get something with less land on it. But also, if you're working downtown, the cost of traveling back and forth and other associated factors will drive you back into town. And that has now turned again for the first time in quite a few years. More people moving back out to the suburbs, and they call the exurbs, which would be even farther out into the country. And people moving back out of the city has made its change. In fact, probably 2013, the first year where there's really a good divergence of people making that exit back out. And that surprises me a little bit, not because I think people don't want to live in the suburbs, but because as you start getting a population of people that are, as a group, getting older, and you generally will see that population move back toward facilities, hospitals, shopping, easier way to get around. Maybe I don't need a car as much, those kind of things too. So that surprises me a little bit that you would see that movement on. And you got all the young people are having their first kids, and they want to get out to the counties and into the suburbs. So you got kind of both of them conflicting with one another. But I'm actually surprised to see that a little bit. I would have thought that maybe that wouldn't turn as quick. But so if you got a property in the city, you may see there is a little longer sales period of time. If you got a property in the county or in the suburbs, you may see that change. I don't know what you're seeing with your clients down there, John, but I don't have a lot of people looking in the city of Sacramento, as opposed, and I think just because there's not a lot down there to shop for, and the prices on the stuff down there are higher.
Yeah, definitely.
So interesting few changes there. What else did I have on the existing home sales are starting to pick back up a little bit. That's probably weather related more than anything. You start getting the East Coast finally getting a couple months in a row of some decent weather, not getting slammed, and they can finally make a few home sales. So interesting movements there. Mortgage rates, as I mentioned earlier, trickling down, into the low 4s, high 3s. From earlier this year, we were cracking over the 5% mark, and people thought we were going to be at 6% real soon. So if you haven't looked at that lately, it might be time to take a look at it. And most of you probably who've refinanced over the past few years have rates that are probably still better than that. But there's a whole bunch of you that went into escrow, particularly those maybe that bought a short sale home. Maybe you made a contract on a short sale in late 11 and you didn't actually close until 12. And here we are in 14. So think about that. You set a contract price probably close to 3 years ago, And if you put a minimum down and you had a loan that had PMI or mortgage insurance on it, 3 years ago or 2 years ago, you might take a look at that again, because I'm not sure you need to pay PMI. And the question you have to come up, the hard one is if you got a really, really good rate, but you're paying a high PMI, a PMI factor, which is generally not tax deductible. What's that crossover point where you say, I'm willing to take maybe a little higher rate and no PMI? So you might take a look at that on your own statement and see, how much of the PMI you're paying, and at what point can you get rid of it? You don't, in most cases you don't have to refinance to get rid of PMI. In FHA, you might. Conventional, if you've had the loan for a couple of years, you should be able to contact your existing lender and ask them about submitting an appraisal and proving, making evidence that the PMI is no longer needed. They are reluctant to do that, I'll be honest, because it's insurance for them, not for you. But it is possible, and you should take a look into your paperwork and see if that's something that's you would qualify to do. So lots of good things going on there, and that's certainly going to help the market in general and keep things moving along in the real estate world too. So we've got to take one more quick break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about some couple travel-related things as we take our final segment of the day before the Oakland A's start today at 9:45. John, I think, has another quiz question down there for you. This is movie week and movie weekend, and I kind of want to go see that new there's A Million Ways to Die in the West or something. That looks pretty funny. But John's got a movie-related quiz question for you down there. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Let us know if you get the answer right, if you want some Round Table Pizza or some tickets to your Sacramento River Cats. What do you got on track there, Johnny?
Yes, so 20 years ago this summer, director Frank Darabont offered Stephen King $5,000 for the movie rights to this movie. So Stephen King, $5,000 for the film rights to this movie. The movie did not do well in box offices, but has made over $100 million on TV since. What is that movie?
So you'd think if it was Stephen King, it's got to be some kind of a horror-type movie, but he writes a lot of stuff, though.
He does.
You're surprised. That dude is a very extremely talented person, obviously. But so Stephen King was given $5,000 for the movie rights to this film 20 years ago this summer. Didn't do so well in the theaters, but has done incredibly well on TV. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. This is Talkin' Money. Jeff Tarbell.
John Fotorero.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back, Jack.
Talkin' money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Oh, yeah.
Getting fired up.
Getting fired up. About ready to get this weekend going. 3-day weekend. Happy Memorial Day to you all. Thank you to all of our veterans who are out there, past, present, and those in training now. We would not be the same without you. There's no question about that. Did we get a winner to our quiz question, Johnny?
We did.
We did?
Yes.
Was it too easy?
I don't think so.
$5,000.
Lots of movies out there.
There's lots of movies out there, and it's just it's a fascinating. So the original film rights, the original name was Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption.
Yep.
That was the original name of it. $5,000 that Stephen King was given to buy the rights to this movie. So here's some fascinating facts. This is the Shawshank Redemption movie on TV. Ranked number 1 on IMDb.com's list of best movies of all time, ahead of the first 2 Godfather films. 151 hours airtime on basic cable last year, second most only behind Mrs. Doubtfire. 15 different cable channels are running it, 7 Oscar nominations, no Oscar wins. It made about $28 million in the United States in movies, in the movie rights, but it made over $100 million in TV rights since then. And in 1 week last summer, 6,000 people visited the Mansfield, North Central Ohio tourism office to see the prison, the courthouse, and the oak tree, all key features of the movie Shawshank Redemption. And so here's its competitors on TV. These are the 5 other movies on TV that every time they play, they just overwhelm their competition. In fact, one of them, number 1 I mentioned already, Mrs. Doubtfire. Number 2 is Sleepless in Seattle. This movie last year ran against ABC's college football title game and had its biggest Monday of the year. So Sleepless in Seattle.
Is that right?
Yes. The movie from 1993 competed with college football. The third next best movie, She's All That, which is one I don't know. Freddie Prinze Jr., late Paul Walker, low budget teen flick. Number 4, Scarface. Actually, last year tied Shawshank and basic cable airtime. Scarface is one you have to watch. And the last one, which is one of my favorites ever, There's Something About Mary. So those 5 plus Shawshank Redemption are the kings of cable TV. And it's true. If I'm flipping through the channels and Shawshank's on, you got to stop and watch a section of it like you've never seen it before.
Yeah.
And here's the funny little key fact of all this. Stephen King never cashed the $5,000 check that was sent to him. In fact, a couple years later, Stephen King got the check framed and mailed it back to the director with a little note that said, "Just in case you ever need bail money,
nice.
Love, Stephen." So there you go. That's fun movie facts for you on a Memorial Day weekend about Shawshank Redemption. Very interesting movie. Speaking of fun things, if you're doing any traveling, any travel plans this weekend or this summer, I'm sure you do. There is a move on from the U.S. Transportation Department's proposed new rule announced Wednesday, and I cannot believe this hasn't been a rule yet. And I guess because I come from the mortgage world where everything is so incredibly regulated, and I mean, if we put a fee on a piece of paper for you, it can't be changed ever, and we could be killed if we change it. And the U.S. Department of Transportation is going to come out with honest and upfront comparing fees of flight costs, so that you have to, when you're given a quote for a round-trip fare, you're also given the checked bag fees, the carry-on bag fees, the seat selection fees, all the other BS that goes into it. For example, Southwest Airlines doesn't have any of those extra fees, so they just quote one fee up front. But many of them, like Spirit Airlines, charges $30 for the first bag, $40 for the next bag, $35 for a carry-on bag, and then anywhere between $1 to $50 to choose a seat. So if we will sell you a seat, you just have to choose a seat, and we're going to charge you a fee for it. So they're going to be proposing new laws now that require you to lump them all together as one flat fee. Thankfully, that will be something I think that is long overdue. I won't even get into the FAA stuff. We'll cover that next week too. So yeah, comparing airfares is not very easy after you've already selected your fare. So that music means we got to wrap it up. I thank you for tuning in. This is a little shorter than normal show, where the Oakland A's will be up next. For your listening pleasure, we'll be back next Saturday. Actually,
Vince.
Next Saturday, Vince Mastracco will be on next Saturday as my daughter graduates from high school. I'll be attending that. So Vince will be on covering for us next week, and we'll see you after that. Have a great week, everybody. You can catch the show during the week at the Talkin Money Facebook page. There's a podcast posted every week for you, and you can find John during the week at johnfode.com or jefftarbell.com. That should cover it. Hopefully you're not going to Disneyland. If you are, can I borrow your pass? Because I don't have any. I can't afford that thing. So we'll catch up with you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody. Say thank you to a veteran and get your yard work done. That's all the things we do on Memorial Day, right? And we'll catch up with you next week. Have a great weekend. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you later. Aloha.